Hi, Lisa. Okay, welcome. I would like to welcome you to the presentation tonight. And I know a lot of people who signed up aren't going to be here. A couple people are wherever they are, it's 2 a.m. So they're going to wait for the replay. But this is the Discover Your Money Map workshop. And I call it a workshop because you are going to be doing a little bit of work tonight. So thank you. So at the end of the evening, you're gonna know everything you need to know about your money and if you have blocks, and if so, where they are. So originally I was just going to talk and guide you through it as we go, but I came up with a little PowerPoint. So I am going to share my screen so you can look at that and you don't have to just watch me talk to you all night. So here we go. Okay, so yes, this is the Discover Your Money Map workshop webinar. And what we're going to learn tonight is there are 5 types of money. So I will walk you through each of those tonight. And these are the things that are really important for your financial life. And then each of those 5 types of money, there's 3 aspects to each one of those. And they're very important, and you'll learn about those and we'll work through those. And then at the end of the evening, you will have your own money map, and it's your money map of clarity, because it's going to help you be really clear, as I said, of if you have blocks and where they are. And then you can find out what to do about them if you do have those. So why am I doing this training? Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I've had many jobs over the years. I started working when I was 11 years old, babysitting, and had all the fun jobs: lifeguard, got to work at Magic Mountain, ride operator, doing waitress, flight attendant, lots of things. And then 1990s, I got a job as a police officer. And I did that for 20 years. And I really liked that job. It was fun. But, it does get a little stressful. So I started taking a yoga class at my gym. And what I liked about yoga was the ending. So if you're familiar with yoga, it's the Shavasana, or the relaxation. And what I liked about it was it seemed like that was my spiritual part of the evening. It was like I had a connection to God or the universe during the Shavasana. And that sort of started me on a journey, a spiritual journey, a personal development journey. And as I went along my journey, I learned a lot of alternative healing methods, hypnosis, Reiki, became a massage therapist, all these alternative things. And I was working with clients as well as still having my police job. But it seemed like there was something missing. I felt like I wasn't living my life purpose, and I wasn't really sure what it was. And because I was trying to do all these things as a side job, I was following a business coach, and she was on the East Coast, I was on the West Coast. But all of a sudden she was going to be giving a presentation in Phoenix, and I was living in Las Vegas, and it was only a 5-hour drive. So that I'm going to go see her in person, and there was going to be an opportunity to network with other people. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to be meeting other people, so I have to have business cards and I have to present myself as something. So I decided I'm going to be a health coach, and I had my business cards printed up and went down there. And during the networking before the presentation, I talked to a few people, but when they asked me what I did, I was like, it was really hard for me to say that I was a health coach, because I didn't really feel like I was a health coach inside. I didn't give out any business cards. And so I went to the presentation, and about halfway during the presentation, she says, you have to do what's in your heart. And it was like, I felt like I was a fraud right there. I didn't even know what was in my heart. I just started crying while I was sitting there listening to her. And at the end of the presentation, I got to talk to her, and I said, I'd really love to work with you, but I really don't know what I should be doing. I don't know what my purpose is. And she suggested I get a book called The Passion Test. So I left the event, went to the bookstore, read almost the whole thing in my hotel room that night, finished it when I got home the next day. And it was actually a really good book, giving some guidance on how to find your passion. And a couple of weeks after that, I found out that they were training people to be passion test facilitators. And I thought, this is my opportunity to get even deeper, find out more about that. And I told my husband I wanted to do it. And again, here I am blubbering into his chest saying, I have to go to this. I really have to go to this and find out this is going to help me with my passion and my purpose. And so I did go and got trained in that and came home and started teaching people how to find their passion and figure out their purpose. And along the way, I also learned another technique of hypnosis, quantum healing. And it's a combination of past life regression and connecting with the client's higher self. And what was interesting was the clients would come to me for that particular type of hypnosis, and they all wanted to know what their life purpose was, if they were living their life purpose, or if they weren't, what is it? And so they would find out in most cases. But what was interesting was, even though they found out, most of them didn't pursue it. There's really only one of my clients that I know actually followed his passions and changed what he was doing as a job and started working, living his passion and his purpose. So now you might be thinking, I signed up for a money class, so what the heck is she talking about? Passion and purpose. Well, when I started talking to my clients and finding out why they weren't following their passion and living their purpose, it's because they had money blocks. And these are the main reasons why they didn't follow their passion. They needed the income, and so they just stayed in a job they hated because they needed the income. They couldn't see that if they changed to follow their passion and purpose, that they could actually make money. Or another reason was that they were afraid of debt. And many times when you use money to invest in yourself, it can start out as debt, but it actually turns out to be something good for you. And so it's an investment rather than bad debt. But they couldn't see that. And then there was also beliefs that they learned from their family as they were growing up that you have to work hard to make money. And when you think of living your passion and living your purpose, it's fun and it's not hard. So when on one hand, you think you have to work hard to make money, when you think of having something fun as your livelihood, those things don't mesh. And so that just sort of stopped them and they didn't pursue what they really wanted to do. So yes, my clients, people looking for their passion and purpose, got stuck with money blocks, but a lot of other people do too. Just about everybody in the whole world can use this money map to see if they have money blocks and how they can overcome them. So this tonight will be helpful for everyone, not just people looking for their purpose. So thank you for listening to that. So as we go through with this, it's very important to get specific. We can't just use general terms, general ideas, because if we don't really know the exact thing that's stopping us, we can't fix it. So go ahead and just close your eyes for a minute. And just imagine that you have a splinter in your hand and it's really painful. It's throbbing. It hurts. And you go online and you search for Louise Hay. And if you're not familiar with Louise Hay, she finds emotional reasons for illnesses or physical problems. And she has lots of positive affirmations to overcome negative things. So here you are, you're looking for Louise Hay and you find out that, okay, that's in your hand. You've got the splinter. So why do I have a splinter that hurts? Well, Louise says that either you're unable to let go or you're holding on too tightly. And that's what's causing the pain in your hand. So you do the affirmations, which is, I choose to let go of things easily. And you say that hundreds of times a day for like 3 weeks. And in the meantime, you also do meditation. You might go have some Reiki, maybe get a massage because maybe you're too tense and that's why your hand still hurts. You even change your eating habits because you figure if you're eating better and you have more nutrients, your hand won't hurt anymore. Well, that's like our money blocks. So think of 3 weeks from the time you got your splinter. What does your hand really look like? It's probably swollen, it's huge, it's red, it's throbbing. You might even have a whole infection going up your arm. And what would have been the first thing that really needed to have been done to heal that? Taking the splinter out. Just removing the splinter, that's like a money block. The splinter is the money block. We now know what the issue is. We'll get rid of it. So that's how we can think of money blocks. We're going to narrow down, find out exactly what it is. And once you know what it is, then you can do whatever you need to do to change it. So that's why we need to get really specific. We're getting specific about money, just like you need to get specific about healing yourself using the proper technique. And all those other techniques I mentioned are really good for whatever they're designed for. But for the splinter, not so much. So before we get started, I sent out a handout, and if you have that, you can go ahead and use that. And if you don't have it, that's okay too. Just grab a piece of paper and your pen. And remove all distractions. If you're like me and you have animals running around the house, you might want to shut the door so they don't come in. And just create a quiet space for you, because this is going to be your space for transformation. And this is for you tonight. If you've struggled with money and you're not quite sure why, we're going to discover that tonight. And so let's set an intention for this session. Have an open mind that you're going to be shining some light on some things. In fact, you might even have some emotions come up as you go through this, because many things we find might be buried deep and you don't even realize them, and they will come to light tonight. And then also have the intention of willingness to look where you might not have looked before. You know, if things are buried deep in your body, deep in your emotions, you don't even realize they're there. So how can you look for them? Well, that's what we're going to do tonight. And then leave no stone unturned. And as you're going through this, I'm going to ask you to imagine some things. And if you have some things come up, don't block them. Just go with the flow. See what happens. Whatever is happening as we're going through this is what's supposed to be happening for you. The things that are revealed are very important. So just go with whatever's happening. And so with that, let's start. We're going to have a great session tonight. So these are the 5 kinds of money: savings, debt, income, your income goals, and then toxic money. And I will explain what that is when we get to it. And then each of these categories has 3 unique aspects. And these are the ones that I said you need to know, because that's what you would need to work on if there's any blocks. So the first ones are the emotions, the feelings that you have, and they run through your nervous system. And as we go through this, we have different energy centers in our bodies that are connected to our emotions. And when I ask you to imagine some things or feel some things in your body, you may get some sensations at different parts of your body. And that's because those energy centers are connected to the nervous system, which deal with different emotions, different body functions, things like that. We also have our program beliefs, and that's the beliefs that you've learned from your family ever since you were little. As you're growing up, things that you see, things that you hear. You have beliefs that you might not even know that you have. They're buried in your subconscious, but your actions follow whatever it is that's buried in your subconscious. And then the past traumas that may be connected to different kinds of money. And so we'll see if there's any of that that might come up for you. So we're going to start with savings. So grab your handout. And first thing I'm going to, so what I want you to do is write down where it says, how much do you have in savings? Write down right now how much you have in savings. And I'm going to pop up this thing real quick. Okay, so this is the handout if you have it. If you don't, this is what we're going to be filling out. So the first line says, how much do you have in savings? So on that line, write it. Doesn't have to be the exact, down to the exact penny, but you probably have a general idea of that. $100, 500, 5,000, 20,000, 100,000, whatever it is, go ahead and write that down. And if you don't have a savings account, or if you don't have any money in your savings account, go ahead and put 0 there, because this is the starting point. You need to know where you are, because if you don't know where you are right now, you can't really change it. So we need to be accurate with where you are right now with your savings. And now look at that number that you just wrote down. Just sit with that and see what feelings are coming up with that number. This says, what are the 2 main feelings? If you have 2 feelings, great. If you only have 1, that's okay too. Just notice. And if you even have more, that's okay too. But notice in your body, are you getting tension anywhere in your body? Maybe a tingling or maybe throbbing, anything like that. Just go ahead and notice that. And a lot of times feelings that come up with savings, if you don't have a lot of savings, are feelings of sadness or loss or disappointment, worry, or fear about what might happen because you don't have any money. So whatever feelings are coming up for you, go ahead and write that on your page. And now we were looking at the feelings in your body, but let's see what's going on in your head. When you look at that number, the amount that you have in your savings account, what thoughts come up for you? Like, oh my God, I have nothing in my account, or I have a lot and I'm very happy with it, if that's so. But what thoughts do you have? For people that don't have much money in their account, they think of things like, I never feel safe. I don't feel taken care of. What comes up for you? Because this is your money map. It doesn't matter what other people say or think. What comes up for you? And go ahead and write that down. What's the main thing that you're saying in your head? And can you see how, when you're thinking about how much money you have in your savings account, if there's not much, you start to get stressed, and then your body releases that stress hormone, which gives you, it's the adrenaline that goes through your body, and you start sweating and all that stuff. And so not having a lot of money and having negative reactions to whatever the amount of money you have also can cause health issues, because when you have a lot of stress hormones going, that's negative for your physical body as well. And do you see how that can affect your mind, your emotions, your physical body, all that stuff? It's all connected. So when you have negative thoughts about that and your body automatically does that, it's something that just happens. It's nothing, it's not anything that you created. So if you start to get stressed, just give yourself some compassion, take some breaths and just allow yourself to calm down, because what's happening is something that your body's doing to you. You didn't create, well, you created it because of the thought, but then the body just took over from there. And you can just sit and relax if it starts to get overwhelming. So now we're going to move to what's called a connected trauma. And this may or may not be true for you, but when you look at your savings account, is there anything that you remember from the past that pops into your head that's negative about savings? And it may be something that you're still thinking, this still makes me mad, or this happened and I had such a loss because of this. If this hadn't happened, I'd have more money. I would have been able to save more money. It could be something like maybe a car accident or something. Here you were working full time, making decent money, saving lots of money, and all of a sudden there's a car accident and now you can't work for 6 months. You weren't able to save the money. That was an event that happened. That's a trauma related to that savings. Could be being laid off from a job. Especially the last few years with COVID, a lot of people weren't able to work. So here they were making lots of money, decent income, and then all of a sudden there's no work. And that's stressful. And that's a negative aspect to not being able to save. So if anything like that popped up for you, go ahead and write that on your paper. And then based on all that stuff that you just thought of or felt, fill out that sentence. Looking at all that, this means I'm what? What does that mean for you? Okay. So now looking at your savings, how long has it been that way? Maybe just recently, there was a lot of money that left your savings account, or it could have been for a really long time. The longer it is, the more it affects you. And what has it cost you? Not just in money, but what does it cost you emotionally, physically, if again you have a lot of stress? And what does it cost you in your relationships with your spouse or your partner or your kids? What does that cost you? You know, having a negative savings, there's a lot of pain in that. And the pain and the cost can be very clarifying for you in relation to the savings. So again, don't be hard on yourself. Have some compassion, give yourself some kindness. And you can see how there's all these things that are affecting you. It's not just you, it's other things. So now we're going to move on to debt. And on your page, the next thing down is debt. So just like you did with your savings, go ahead and write down how much debt you have right now. And there's things that are considered a good debt, like a mortgage. So you don't have to put the mortgage in there. Car payment sometimes can be good. If it's an outrageous car payment, you might want to put that into debt. Sometimes school loans can be good, but if it's negative, go ahead and put a school loan in that amount of debt as well. So just like you did with your savings, just look at it, sit with it, and tap into your body. What are you feeling? If you're feeling sensations like in your lower body, that could be connected with your feelings of safety, not being safe because you have too much debt. You're never gonna be safe because you're always gonna owe somebody money. Emotions that can come up can be fear or sadness, disappointment, or worry. So whatever feelings you have coming up, go ahead and write those on your page. And then what are you thinking? What's your head saying? What thoughts are going through your head? Oh my God, I can't believe I have that much debt. How am I ever going to pay off these loans? Oh no, I'm going to have to go bankrupt. Or what's your thoughts? And go ahead and write that on your paper. And when people think about debt, there's a programmed belief that they have. Again, it's things that you learned from childhood. And you see that number, and whatever reaction you have to that number is based on the beliefs that you have. And they could just be, it could be subconscious beliefs. So it's not that actual number that's causing the reaction. It's your internal beliefs that are causing that reaction. So what happens is that belief was already in you. And then you had this debt because of those beliefs. And that's the mind, body, emotion, money connection. So now let's see if you have any trauma related to any kind of debt. So when you think of the debt that you have, did something happen to make you go in debt? Again, like maybe a car accident. And all of a sudden you have medical bills or some kind of insurance thing. And you have bills that you have to pay, but it was no fault of your own that you got those. So just go ahead and whatever you have, this event could be a battle that you have to get the money. Maybe you're owed some money and you had to go in debt because you haven't received it yet. Maybe there was some kind of betrayal. Somebody was supposed to give you some money and instead they didn't, and you went into debt because of that. Or is there something that you did, you spent some money on something and then you regretted it and you have not forgiven yourself for that? Do you have something like that? If you do, go ahead and write that down. And then once you write that down, finish that sentence. Because of all the things I just felt and I just thought about my debt, this means I'm what? What are you based on all of that? An interesting thing is, think about how many times a day you have negative thoughts. The American Psychological Association, it says 80% of our inner talk is negative. Think about that. Whenever we have negative thoughts, we're programming ourselves with that negativity. Remember, your thoughts create your world. So if you're thinking negative things a lot, you're going to have a lot of negative things in your life. And when we can change that to something positive, you can make those positive changes in your life. So every time you have that negative thought, it is going to affect your nervous system, releasing the stress hormones. So having debt can affect your health as well as your finances. And so instead of beating yourself up, just have some compassion. And how long have you had this debt? How much has it cost you? And how much will it continue to cost you? Whatever it is you're finding out about yourself and your relationship to your debt, once you know exactly what it is, you can change it. You can go from the negative to the positive, like we just talked about. So are you having pain with that? Good, because now you know what it is. What's it cost you? Once you know that, good, because now you can change it. And again, Give yourself some compassion and kindness. See what you were up against. Okay, now we're going to move on to income. So just like you did with the savings and your debt, go ahead and write down how much income are you making. The easy way to do it is how often do you get paid? Weekly, every other week, once a month, whatever that is. Come up with that number. And just sit and look at that number. And how do you feel? If you have a really good income, you might feel pretty happy right now. So congratulations. If it's not that big of a number and it's giving you stress, you might have feelings that come up like anxiety, frustration, or stress, like I just said. You might start getting that adrenaline going in your body. And if you're having some sensations in your body, some tension, where is it? For example, when I was mentioning the energy centers in our body, if you have something that's around your heart, this is the energy center for forgiveness, where we would forgive ourselves. So is there something that we've done that maybe keeps our income low? I don't know. Only you know that. So look at that number. What are you feeling? Write that down if you haven't done that yet. And now, what are the thoughts that are going through your head? I think most people, if you have a really good number on there, you're probably having happy thoughts. But if it's not a good number, most people are going to say it's not enough. So say that. You can, if you're in a group of people, you might not want to say it out loud, but go ahead. It's not enough. Shout, it's not enough. Get that out there. Get it out to the universe. Let the universe know you don't have enough money. You need help making more money. You have to recognize that and then change it. If it's not enough, let everybody know and you can do something about it. If you said it's not enough, did that trigger something in you? If it did, that's good, because that's what you need to notice. And got your feelings, you've got your thoughts. So let's see. Did you have a traumatic event? Oops, let me go back here. Did you have a traumatic event in relation to your income? Oh, I'm going to go back here real quick for just a second. Some things that stop us from making a lot of money when we work is that inner belief that we got from our family. Some of the things that we learned from our family is there's people like us. We're allowed to make a certain amount of money. We might be in a lower income. We might be in the middle income. Your parents or relatives might not have said it like that. We're low income or we're middle income. But there's people like us that are in this group. And then there's those people. And we're not like those people. And that's going to keep you stuck. If your family wasn't making a lot of money, you don't want to be like those people, you're not going to make a lot of money if you hold on to that belief. Or another belief, and it was one that I mentioned towards the beginning, you have to work hard to make money. You really don't, but if your family put that belief into you from the things you heard and the things that you saw, that's going to be inside you. And if you're out there having fun making money, all of a sudden it's going to go away because that internal belief is telling you you have to work hard. Another idea, maybe you heard your parents saying there's never enough money. They're trying to pay bills and maybe it's just something you overheard once, but it went into your system. There's never enough money. So guess what? There's never enough money. You're not making enough. There's never enough. Money's not for everybody. Money's not for people like us. If you have any of that programmed into your system, that is going to affect your income. Now, let's go over to trauma, like with the other ones. A trauma with the income that you might have had, and this could have possibly happened to you personally, or it's something that you saw in your family, or maybe even relatives or friends, your neighborhood, your neighbors. Maybe all of a sudden the breadwinner is gone. Your mom or dad left or died, and now the income is either cut in half or is gone completely. And so now you're seeing the parent that's there with you struggling because now there's only half the amount of money. Or your mom used to be a stay-at-home mom, raising you and your brothers and sisters, and your dad was out working, bringing in the money, and everything was good. And then your dad died. And now you see your mom struggling because she can't stay home with you anymore. She has to go out and work. So in addition to you seeing your mom out there working hard, you're home having to take care of things around the house. You might have to take care of your brother or sister, or you may have been in sports or activities in school, and now you can't do that because you have other responsibilities. So the trauma of not having enough money has a lot of negativity to it, what you see in other people, but also what you're experiencing. Even, for example, there was a client who, when she was 12 years old, went over and raked the neighbor's yard, picked up all the leaves, did a great job. And the neighbor thought she did such a great job, she wanted to give her some money for it as a thank you. And her mom saw her taking that money and told her, give that money back. How do you think that made her feel? Embarrassed, like she didn't deserve it. And now, as an adult, every time she gets paid the paycheck or someone gives her money for something, she gets that same feeling of not being worthy of that money. She doesn't deserve it. And it was just based on one incident that happened when she was a child. So that could be a trauma, something like that would happen to you. So if that's the case, go ahead and write that down. And if you don't have one, then congratulations. So when you look at what got revealed about your income, your feelings and your thoughts, and if you have any trauma related to it, just notice that all those emotions are adding up to keep you where you are with your income. And it's sort of like a thermostat. You have a set point. And so thinking about your thermostat in your house, it's set at a certain level, we'll say 72. Now that it's getting warm out, if the temperature in your house rises, your air conditioner is going to come on and bring that money, or bring that temperature back down to 72 to keep you level at that point. When it's cold and it gets cold in the house, the heater comes on to bring it back up to that 72. Well, that's sort of the same thing. Well, it's the exact same thing with your set point for money. You've got that set point inside you, and if you start making too much, something's going to happen to bring you back down. If you're making less, sure, you can kick it in and bring it back up, but you still stay at that same level just about all the time. So what you need to do, reset that thermostat. And you can do that. So one thing we haven't done yet is that last sentence, all the stuff that came up for your income, feelings, thoughts, any trauma. This means I'm what? And yes, it is sad if we have a lot of stuff going on, but that's why we're learning this stuff tonight, so we can change it. Yeah. We'll just skim through this real quick. You can think about this later. How long has it been this way? How long have you had that income at this certain level? How much does it cost you? If you had a job that made more money, or if you were able to work overtime or something to make a lot more money, just think where you could be. So how much is it going to continue to cost you? Finances, relationships, emotions, all that stuff. The pain and the cost. That's the important clarifying aspect. So have some compassion and kindness for yourself. Okay, now we've got some income goals. And this is the fun part. Think big. So how much do you need, or how much do you want for the lifestyle that you want? How much do you need monthly to pay your bills and save and enjoy your life? Is it half as much as you're making right now? So if you're making, let's say, $30,000, half of that would be 15, so $45,000. If you're making 50, then it would be 75. How about you double it? If you're making 50, now you're going to make 100. What would be your income goal? Think big and put that down. And $2 million, $5 million would be a nice number to put down there. However, if you're not already making hundreds of thousands, that's probably not a realistic goal right now. So see where you are and double it, maybe even triple it if you want. And just remember, you can get up to that million or 2 million. We just have some steps on the way. So let's be realistic for this exercise. And yes, put down a goal more than what you're making now. And then, are you feeling excited? Oh yeah, I like that new number. Or are you a little afraid of that number? What do I have to do to get that? Some people are fearful when they see a huge number that they're not used to, or ashamed. And that could be, again, based on what you learned when you were a kid. People like us don't make that kind of money. People that make that kind of money are snooty. So we don't want to be like them. Or whatever you might have heard when you were younger. So write down your feelings that come up with this, and what are your thoughts? Could one of the thoughts be, it's impossible? Sort of like with your income, when we said it's not enough, a thought might be, I will never be able to achieve that. How the heck am I ever going to be able to make that much money? Where's that going to be coming from? Remember too, income in the positive light doesn't necessarily have to be from your work. You can receive money from other places too. Good money. Interesting thought. Think of where you'd like to have your money coming in from. Investments, different things. So on a scale of 1 to 10, think about this. Where are you in the belief that you can actually attain that number that you just put down? So 1 would be, I'm not going to be able to make that much money ever. And 10 is, oh yeah, I'm going to be able to make that easily. So where are you on that scale? 1 or 10? If you happen to be at a 5, that means that you're already thinking that you're going to be able to make half as much as what you're already making. And that's a good thing. Yay. Okay. All the stuff that you just came up with, your feelings and your thoughts. What's your inner value? Finish this sentence. I could not earn that much because I'm what? What is the word or the sentence that comes up for you? Go ahead and write that down. And again, think about, what has this been costing you? How long have you not been making what you really would like to make? And it costs you financially, emotionally, and with your relationships. Now, one thing too that's connected with the money that you want to have is the trauma. And that's what we call goal trauma, because here now, it's not anything that you're actually experiencing at the moment. It's a goal that you have. This beautiful number that you just came up with is a goal, and it's a big goal. But I want you to think, have you ever really set a big goal for yourself, something that you really wanted to achieve? and you worked really hard. You did everything you could so you could attain that goal. Maybe it's something that you did in school, maybe getting a good grade, maybe getting an A in a class that's really hard for you. Or maybe you were in sports or cheerleading and you practiced and practiced so you could get on the team and be really good at whatever it is that you were doing. And you actually achieved it. And you are so excited. You reached your goal. Oh, wow, amazing. I am so happy. And then other people are going, so who cares? That's nothing. That is a trauma to your goal. That is a goal trauma. Because here you had this beautiful dream, this beautiful goal, and people are knocking you down. And so that can affect you when you're making goals now. So if you've got something like that, write it down. Just keep a note for yourself. Because that trauma is just like a dark cloud hanging over your head. It's the negative energy. It's shame, self-recrimination, and self-doubt. Because you did this and other people are, that's no big deal. So what? And you start doubting yourself. And so that's why it's important to discover these things, because once you know them, we can fix them. We can change all that stuff. Okay, so the last one, number 5. Oh, have some compassion and kindness for yourself again if you had some goal trauma. Because you will be able to get to that number that you had. So now the last one is toxic money. So let's see if this applies to you. Many times people don't have toxic money, but if there's a situation where maybe money is owed to you, you have to battle to get it. Maybe you have to go to court. You have to sue somebody to get some money that's owed to you, or divorce situation. You have to go to court and fight just to get alimony or child support. It comes with negative emotions. It could be receiving money that you need to survive, money like welfare or food stamps or money for disability. You can't work and now you're disabled. And what happens with that money is you have to stay in a space of no power. So for example, like the first one, relationship money. You might be in a relationship with somebody who has all the power, has all the money. They're the ones working and they give you an allowance. That's toxic money because it's negative. You have no power in that situation, but you have to stay in that situation to get that money. So that's what's called battle. You have to prove that you're entitled to that money. There's also what is called dependency. And that's where like the government's paying you money or your parents are giving you money and you have no power and you have to stay in that situation. Well, you really don't, but your body, your little subconscious doesn't tell you that. Well, I'm telling you that, and you're going to be able to figure that out on your own. So you can kick all these negative things away and you're going to be positive. Toxic money, you're going to be able to forget about that. But we need to see if you have any toxic money so we can identify it to change it. And what's bad about the toxic money is you have to continually stay in a state of disempowerment in order to keep getting that, whether it is money that you're battling for or whether it's money that you have to, stay unemployed in order to receive that money. So if you have any of those things, write that down. And then just write down what emotions are attached to that, if you've got them. And what thoughts are going through your head about that money. And another thing to think about, who is it that's keeping you in that situation? Is it a relationship like a marriage where one person has all the money? What do you feel about that person? That's a big thing about toxic money. Because in addition to the actual money, the finances, you now have to work on the relationship with the person with the money, the relationship with the entity that's giving you money. If it's government, we all have ideas about government, but you might be stuck with it. You have to deal with whatever emotions are coming up in relation to the person or persons or entities where you're getting the money from. So if you haven't already done it, write down the emotions that are coming up and write down the thoughts that are coming up. And I'm going to say 3 different sentences. And I want you to rate each one on a scale of 1 to 10. And 1 means this isn't true at all. And 10 means, yes, this is very true. So the first one is, I have power in this situation in reference to your toxic money. I have power in this situation. 1 is, no way, I have no power. 10 is, yes, I have power. Write that down. And look at that number. Now, the next question is, I can step out of the battle and set a boundary. I can step out of the battle and set a boundary. 1 is, no way can I do that. And 10 is, oh, yes, I can. Write down what number applies to you in that situation. And the last one, I can create the life I want. 1 is, no way. And 10 is, oh, yeah, in fact, I'm creating it right now. Where are you? I can create the life I want. 1 or 10. So now look at those numbers that you just wrote down. If they're close to number 1, so I'd say 1 through 4, maybe 5. Right now, when you're in a state of being disempowered. But as you get closer to 10, you're empowering yourself. You're in a state of being powerful. So if you're on a low scale, you can always change that, but you need to identify where you are in order to be able to change that. So we have now, go ahead and fill this out. Based on your toxic money, my nervous system is wired to connect these emotions with money and wealth. So what emotions did you have going through you as we were talking about toxic money? And actually think back over all 5 of the things that we did and see if you can roll them all. Did you notice the emotions that you had for your savings were the same that you had for income or debt? How many times did the same emotion come up, even though it was a different category? So what are the most common emotions for you? And then, as you were doing your thoughts for the different categories, what did you continue to say to yourself about money or about your wealth? Did you have the same thing that kept coming up as your thoughts? And write that down. And then all these things together remind me of what? And go ahead and write that down. So now that you've just wrote down your 3 main ones, what is the main emotion that you should be concentrating on? The ones that you want to clear. Because once you clear up those emotions, you're changing your whole relationship with your money and your finances. And then what is the big belief that you're battling right now? What came up for you? What were the beliefs that you learned from your family as you were growing up, or even from society nowadays, watching TV, or if people are on social media, they learn all these things. And that's one thing. We end up getting negative about ourselves because we see people on television, reality shows, and they're doing great. We don't really know them behind the scenes. Who knows what they're doing? Same thing with people on social media. Nobody puts on social media, oh, poor me, this is what happened to me today. Sometimes they do. Usually it's about pets. But they're not going to say that they just lost their job. They're going to announce all the good things. And so we start comparing ourselves, and a lot of that is what gives us negative thoughts about our money. So if that's happening, stay off of social media, stop watching TV. Why should we get into all that negative stuff? So you now see why you deal with, manage, spend, and earn the money the way you do, right? Yes. So, true or false? If I don't change this, it will continue. Yes or no? The costs will continue. Yes or no? True or false? This is bigger than money. Is it bigger than money for you? True or false? And this has cost me more than money, lots more than money. Is that true for you? True or false? Just think about that. So what you just filled out, that is your own personal money map, your money map of clarity. That showed you the emotions that are coming up with the different kinds of money. It showed you the thoughts that come up for your different kinds of money. And it showed you where you had negative traumas in association to the different kinds of money. So this map, now that you have it and see exactly where you are in the different areas, it has the power to transform everything in your life. Because remember, it's all connected. Your money is connected to your emotions, and it's connected to your relationships and even your physical health. So now that you're clear on this, you can change it to the way you want to be if it's not there already. And this is something, your map that you just had, you are probably 1 in a million, is most people don't look at their finances and their money like you just did today. So congratulations. Most people don't have any idea about their money, but now you do, and you can see where you can change it if you need to. And so you saw it, you felt it, you experienced everything. So congratulations, you're one of the few. And so now, because you have this money map, you're clear on where you are. You have a new conscious awareness. So when you can feel these things and you see, you can make a choice to change what's going on in your life now. You might have had all this stuff in the past, but from this moment, every time you make a choice, you can either decide to stay and keep doing what you were doing. So you're going to stay where you are now, or choose differently, choose more positively. Don't let those negative beliefs that were put in you when you were a little kid rule you now as an adult. You can operate totally differently in the way that you're earning the money, the way you relate to your money, how you manage it. You can do investments now where maybe you were scared to before. We talked about debt. An investment in yourself is a good thing, where before you might have thought debt was bad. So now you can be clear, you can be focused, and you can take specific action towards your new positive finances and a relationship with money. So your clarity that you came up with tonight, without it, you can't make those decisions. You can't make those choices. It helps you to be decisive and take new specific action. Thank you. And the bottom line is you can change everything. And if you remember earlier when I was talking about Louise Hay, and she talked about, she does positive affirmations. Well, now you can come up with your own positive affirmations. You don't have to look up Louise Hay. Look at some of the things that you wrote down on your sheet. And if one of them was, it's not enough. Remember, we were shouting it's not enough looking at your income, make up your own positive affirmation that says, I have abundance. I easily make money. Money is attracted to me. Um, well, a little story, actually two stories. In reference to money, when I first started learning these things, one day I went out and just in my mind that morning, I just thought, people like to give me things. People love to give me things. That day, I think I went to McDonald's and I got free fries. I went somewhere else and I got a free drink. And it's like, nice. Another time I put out of the universe, I'm going to make I'm going to make $1 million. May as well go big. So what I did that day is, I'm going to make $1 million. I'm going to find $1 million. And as I was walking past this building, there was money laying on the ground, and I picked it up, and it was folded up. I opened it. It was $1 million bill. Who would have thought? Of course, it was fake, but how often do you see $1 million bill? The same day that I put out into the universe that I was going to receive $1 million. So all you have to do is have those new thoughts, come up with your positive affirmations, and you can do it. You can make that change right there. Bottom line, you can change everything. So when you get specific, this is actually about your whole life, when you get specific of things, but especially when your money, when your inner world changes, your whole outer world will change. So think, what does that mean to you? So this is what I recommend. Seriously challenge those beliefs that you have, the beliefs that you uncovered tonight. You can do it. And then rewire your nervous system. So in our nervous system, in our brain, we've got, our body is used to just doing certain things. And so when you want to change something, especially in our brain, we've got these thoughts that keep going. And right now we've got the negative thoughts about our money. And so now we want to change it. And sometimes it takes a little while because our brain is used to having this little path, and now we want it to go over here. I look at it as like, you have a cabin in the woods, and there's a path to the front door, and you've been using that path for years and years. But now you want to change the way you get into the cabin. And so instead of walking on that dirt path, you now have to walk through the bushes and the grass to get to the door. And it's not as easy as walking on the dirt path, but you continue to do that. And after a little while, you now have a new path. So that is like what happens in your brain. There's the path in your brain that you've been using, and you can change it. It doesn't always come immediately, but when you keep doing it over and over, having these positive things, the positive changes, now you have a new path, and the old one gets overgrown and you don't even have to think about it anymore. So you can do it. Rewire your nervous system. So now what? I want to help you. If you came up with a lot of negative things in relation to your money tonight, you need a change. You need a change, and I'd like to help you with that, because you can come up with completely new energy, new actions, and a new destiny with money just by making the changes. So your choice for today is, you can decide to change from the costly way it's been for you. I mean, you can stay where you are and just keep it as is, continue to stay where you are, or you can decide to change from all the negative stuff. Remember, we asked, what does this cost you? What does it cost you financially? What does it cost you emotionally? What does it cost you with your relationships? All that reality with your money. So you can take all those aha moments that you just learned tonight. Don't do anything with them. If you have the get up and go and you can do it on your own, you can do that. But if you need some help on your path of certainty, I can help you by guiding you with that step by step and ensure that you have success with changing your ideas and your beliefs. So that's my gift to you, being your guide. So what I'd like to offer for you is a clarity call. If you had some stuff coming up about your money or about your life, because money is our life. We can't live without money. So during the clarity call, what we do is we're going to get really clear on your goals, your short-term goals and your long-term goals. And as I mentioned at the beginning, I help people with their passion and with their life purpose. So on a clarity call, we can talk about just your money situation if you want. But if there's other stuff going on in your life, we can talk about that too. So getting clear on whatever your goals are, just your money goals, your life goals. So both short and long term. And then I'm going to diagnose your biggest obstacles. What is it that's stopping you from getting where you want to be? And then what is it that you need to focus on so you can move forward? So you don't stay stuck where you are right now. You've been in this place for a long time. So what's it going to take? A kick in the butt from a coach or something changing in your head? What is it? Well, that's what we're going to figure out on this clarity call. And I'm going to give you my best recommendation for the strategy and the next steps that you should take to get where you want to be, so you don't stay stuck where you are now. And then I'm going to give you my honest evaluation of what's possible for you now. You know, how far can you go when you make these changes? What's out there? You know, based on everything in your life, your skills and your goals, your money in your life, where can you be? And I'll help you. I'll evaluate that for you. So if you'd like to schedule a clarity call with me, all you have to do is go to this website, tiny.one/clarity call. So https://tiny.one, spelled out ONE/clarity call. And that will take you to my calendar. And you can just pick the time that is best for you. And we'll get together on the phone and we'll go over everything. When you do sign up, there's a little questionnaire. So in that questionnaire, put everything in there that you'd like to talk about. Everything is bothering you in your life. And that way I know what it is that before we actually get on the phone call, that'll be very helpful for me. We can go over all that stuff. So I'd like to thank you for allowing me to share all this information with you tonight. I appreciate you being here. And if you're watching this as the replay, I hope you got a lot out of this. There's a lot of information, a lot of emotions that come up when we're going through this. So if there's any questions about anything that came up, schedule that clarity call. And it was my pleasure to share this with you. And I hope I get to talk to you soon. Thank you and take care. Bye. Bye.